hi everyone, it's John here from the South Wales Baptist Association. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to say hi to any new subscribers or viewers that we've got. And I'm thrilled today that we've got a chance to catch up with Andy Glover from Fresh Streams, who's planning a prayer and fasting day. So Andy, welcome, great to have you.
Thanks, Jonathan, it's good to be here.
Perhaps you could start by telling us what the thinking is behind calling us together for fasting and prayer.
Yeah, Fresh Streams, to be honest, has had a habit of prayer and fasting for the last probably 5 or 6 years, really. And it flows out of a friendship that I have with Jonathan Oliade. Jonathan heads up the is it the World Press? No, it's not the World Prayer Centre. It's the sort of National Day for Prayer, I think it is.
Yeah.
And he's I think he's Nigerian in terms of his home country, and he's been like a missionary to the UK for a number of years. But in conversations with him over the years, he's talked a lot about fasting, and so we as a team reflected on that. And the habit of fasting, which is perhaps not a habit that the Western Church engages in as much. And so we've wanted to just a couple of times a year to say, hey, we'll set aside a couple of days for prayer and fasting, and into those we'll find some places where potentially we could gather. Sometimes that's been in person, obviously with COVID, and latterly we've used Zoom sometimes. But yeah, it's just mixing in that sort of discipline of fasting with a focus of prayer.
And what does that look like in terms of the length of it? You mentioned a couple of days. Is that fasting for a couple of days?
So basically, it's one day twice a year. So
okay.
One day in the autumn, one day in the spring.
Yeah.
And what we've done up to now, although this year the one that's coming up on March the 14th, we've sort of mixed it up a little bit, and just given people an opportunity to gather locally. So where there's been a member of the leadership team or some church that particularly connects in and relates into Fresh Streams, they've hosted it with a church leader. And then we've given people an opportunity to gather. Sometimes that's been from 10 till 3, and we sort of gather for that sort of length of time. Actually, in a couple of weeks, looking around the country, we've got a real mix of timings actually. Some are 10 till 1, some are 12 till 2, some are 11 till 2. So we've just said, here's a day, and if you can gather and want to gather, do that locally and what works for you and make what it fits.
Yeah, and how has the fasting sort of enhanced your prayer? What's it brought, do you think, to those prayer times?
I think fasting as a discipline does a number of things, doesn't it? It really focuses in on, first of all, setting aside, I guess, things that sometimes can get in the way of us experiencing God's presence. It sort of starves us. So, we can, when you think about fasting, you'd usually think about fasting from food. But in this day and age, you can fast from social media. You can fast from maybe your favorite soap or whatever it is. But so you sort of start. So, and I think as well, biblically, fasting seems to have a place in those moments where we're looking for breakthrough.
Yes.
And we're looking for a real sense of breakthrough. And you see, Daniel fasted for 3 weeks, didn't he? And had that vision from God in his story. Or obviously Jesus had his 40 days. And obviously we're in Lent right now as well. So I guess one of the reasons why we usually pick the springtime is we normally find a day in the Lent calendar as well, because there is that discipline of fasting that's encouraged, particularly I think within the Catholic tradition, that you use fasting. So it just adds something, I think, when we sacrifice, miss out on something else.
That's great. Well, we're looking forward to the day together. So thanks for your leadership in calling us together in that, and looking forward to being together. So thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. It's exciting this year because we've really engaged on the back of last year, actually, where Fresh Stream did a lot of work with regional associations. And so we've added to that, and 10 of the associations are joining with us on the 14th of March. So again, it seems a key time. It's a key time for us to be praying as associations and as Baptists together. So we just wanted to sow into that and give some space to pray, seek God, His kingdom come, His will be done.
Great. Andy, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jonathan.